Why men cheat on their wives. That is the conversation today. Why men cheat on their wives. You know, the study says that 65% of men, 65, and 55% of women will have an extramarital affair by the time they are 40 years into the marriage.
40 years into the marriage? Wow.
Men, 65%, and women, 55% will have an extramarital affair. Can you believe that? That is very, very high. You know, and then what is even crazy about it is says that being a Christian does not lessen our chances of having an affair.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. If you are a Christian, it doesn't, you know, because we all live in this sinful world. And
yeah, we do. And there has to be boundaries.
There got to be some boundaries.
Yeah.
Because if you don't put boundaries in place, it can happen.
That's right.
You know, and then the cost for cheating is just so much.
You don't even want to go there.
I'm telling you, it affects marriages, children. You know, I remember I was talking to one guy. He says, Kwame, one of the reasons why I'm very careful is how will I even explain to my children? You know, and if it has happened to you, there are solutions. Talk to a counselor, talk to a pastor, confidential, in confidential, so that you can resolve this rather than going and fighting over guilt and shame and all that. You can be healed and make a decision and put boundaries in place so you don't repeat the behavior.
Yeah. So why do you think men cheat on their wives?
Why do men cheat on their wives? It is the first reason we have about 10 reasons here. The first one is lack of boundaries.
Okay.
People don't have any boundaries at all. You know, I remember one time when we were in Raleigh, North Carolina, there was one guy, he said, Kwame, you know, I always fall into temptation. I fall into temptation. One time I happened to be in his workplace. He was complimenting women. Oh, look at you. Look at your back. Look at this. Look, you look this. And then I said, no wonder. You know, you don't have any boundaries with anything you do. You draw attention on yourself. So number one is the lack of boundaries. You know, I really do believe that even if people who says fornication or adultery is my shortcoming, it takes the whole body to do that. You have to take your body to drive to somewhere and make it happen, right?
Make it happen, yeah.
So if you can have some boundaries in place, the struggle will be there, but it will not happen because you have some boundaries.
Yeah, you have to catch yourself before it happens. Yeah.
I mean, if you know that there is this lady or there's this man that I can't sleep, I have to. If you know that you are struggling like that, and the guy lives in the east and you live in the west, and you have to drive to the east, you are putting yourself in temptation.
Yeah. Yeah, and also probably because a lady somewhere is giving the guy all the attention.
Hey, attention is the next factor here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, talk about it. Attention.
Yeah.
Maybe the lady, you know, see him, oh, how are you doing? You know, and then they even say, oh, your wife is lucky. Your wife is lucky that, you know, she married you. Wow. You know, and then she always talk and compliment and it will get into you.
Yeah. So in other words, if a lady is complimenting a guy, then that leads to cheating?
No, it doesn't lead to cheating. I think, if you're a Christian, for example, there is the spirit behind it, and how you are doing it can be okay, but there are times it can be too much.
Yeah,
and you can question that this compliment that I'm getting every time from this particular individual.
Yeah,
it's just that there are no limits. You know, I know one guy. He said, "Oh, your butts! Look at your butts! It's I mean, how do you even, a married man, complimenting another lady and talking about butts? Now, excuse me to say that, but sometimes we have to say it so that people understand what we're talking about. You know, we have to say these things so people know. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. You have to boundary yourself. Discipline yourself. And if you love attention, and all that women are giving you attention and they turn around and say it's temptation, you know that you are enjoying that attention, people. You know, so the lack of boundaries is a big part. The other part, the other number 2 is marital dissatisfaction.
Okay.
You know, sometimes people are not happy in their marriage, and therefore they become vulnerable.
Yeah.
So if you are not happy in your marriage, you need to resolve it. Talk to somebody, talk to a pastor, talk to a counselor, because you become highly vulnerable. And it can happen at any time. Yeah. You know. And then the other, number 3 is work environment. Work environment. It is very possible that you know that in your workplace somebody is always looking at you. And you know that this is something is not right with this. Now, in your flesh, you like it.
Well, not everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not everybody. But in the human flesh, if you are not the type of person who understands these things and you enjoy, you just keep enjoying, and the temptation can become, you know, very, 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 it can become tempting.
Yeah. And then sometimes you're like, you know, I need somebody to talk to. Maybe my wife doesn't listen.
Exactly.
Or my wife doesn't understand. But you know, when I talk to you, you listen.
You listen.
Yeah.
Again, attention. You listen, and you know, I can't. So this is what I tell people. If you are a man and you have issues with your wife, it is not healthy to discuss with another woman.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, what should she do for you? I mean, let's say you have intimacy issues with your wife, and you call Cece. Let's say Cece, you know, my wife is not available. I'm just always struggling. There's no intimacy. What do you think Cece should do?
Especially if Cece is not married.
Especially if she's not married. I mean, what she should do? And if it is in your workplace, and there are other women, and Cece finds herself privileged. Why is, let's say the brother's name is Keke, or let's say the name is maybe Jones. Why is Jones always talking to me about his marital problems? Among all the women, why me? You know, is that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you, of course, so I tell people, be careful how you share your marital problems with the opposite sex. Because what should they do other than having sex? You know what? I mean, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It can. You may have some friends that you're going to share with, but I'm saying we have to be careful. Yeah. Especially in our workplace. Okay. The next point is taking each other for granted. Yeah. You know, in the marriage, you know, especially when it comes to time, I believe that one of the biggest problems for marriage couples is we don't spend enough time for each other. Yeah. And when that happens, it can really, you want to look for something somewhere else. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not anybody's fault.
Exactly.
Work schedules.
Tell me about it. Work schedule. One goes to work first shift. Yeah. While he's coming. Yeah. The other one is going. Yeah. And then you have children who have to go to school, and it can be very, very difficult. And week after week after week after week after week after week, a time will come. It's very, very possible that if you're married couples, that you don't have any time at all. It's a matter of time before something happens and it goes, you know. Number 6 is lifestyles and wealth accumulation. Sometimes people are humble when there's no money. Yeah. People are humble when they don't have, they're not making 6 figures. But when he or she make six figures, sometimes they feel like maybe I think my husband is too short. I think my wife is too this. When money comes, then their eyes opened.
Okay.
And then they may see things differently. And they may want to choose, and they raise all kinds of fight because money is powerful. So that is another point. Number 7, I want us to take time for this, is social media. Reconnecting to your ex. Reconnecting to their ex. In fact, Focus of the Family says that 1 out of every divorce, one out of 5 divorce, social media is responsible. Do you know what is happening right now? People are reconnecting with their exes on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social medias. And once they reconnect, it triggers a memory. It triggers in a memory. Maybe the person used to be your girlfriend and your boyfriend in high school or college, and you reconnected. Hey, how are you? I'm doing good. And then you remember what you did in the past, and they are saying that it can cause a lot of issues. So it is very important that we set boundaries on our social media. Am I saying that people shouldn't befriend their ex? Maybe no. But it can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
You know. Number 9 is the lack of sex. For men, for women, lack of intimacy. For men, it's lack of sex. If there is no sex, I always say that sex is the only thing that if you don't do with your spouse, there's no other option. You cannot go to McDonald's and do it. You can do it yourself. So if it is not there it's a big problem. So if you are married, you really want to take care of these things that we are talking about. Number 10 is what we call retribution. That is that if the husband, if the wife had an affair, husband also wants to cheat to kind of
tit for tat.
Tit for tat, Moses' law. Tit for tat. So here are a few things that we discuss about why men cheat. And we are not saying that these are all excuses for it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. Maybe this discussion will help somebody to help you put boundaries and really sit down with your spouse, talk about these things. It will help because the cost for cheating can be so expensive. You know, it causes psychological issues, mental problems, family lives, children. There's a whole lot of issues. How are you going to explain this to your children? So before you even enter into any emotional affair, because it all begins with emotional affair. Before you enter into emotional affair and ultimately get into a physical affair, think about the cost of it. Maybe by thinking about the cost, it can help you make some wise decisions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, like us, send us comments, and we will see you next time.
God bless you.